So Matt?
Yep, we're good.
Good evening. Welcome to the May 1st Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Pat, if you'll call the roll.
Councilman Stanley here. Councilman Romano.
Here.
Councilman Wallace. Yes, Vice Chair.
Here, entertain a motion to approve Town Board meeting minutes of April 10 and 17.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallace. Discussion.
Councilman Whalen.
Yes.
Councilman Stanley.
Yes, for the 10th, but I have to abstain on the 17th.
Okay. Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Wallace. Yes. Supervisor Bear.
Yes, communications and announcements, a couple of quick things. Friday night was a successful Shen Science Night and Fair. Many exhibitors were there and great attendance as always. The town had a presence as well. We gave out a few hundred tree seedlings to a lot of families that came through. And we appreciate being a part of that event each year. I do want to thank Councilwoman Standart and the Green Committee, and maybe she'd like to also thank some of the folks that were there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor. We did have a really nice event that evening at Science Night. And I want to thank Joanne Coons and Kathy Furhoff and Lee Palmer for helping us out that evening, give away, like the supervisor said, hundreds of trees that evening. And the committee pulled together and did another great job at Science Night, passing out those trees, and they do want everyone happy, lots of people happy, so we had a great event.
Yeah, it was. So we expect we'll continue our involvement, and it's definitely a great night for families in Clifton Park. Yesterday was our spring shredding day. We do that twice a year. We shred sensitive documents for Clifton Park residents for free. All we ask for in return is a donation of non-perishable food items, and we collected a tremendous amount of food this past event yesterday. We will be donating food to the Captain Pantry, as well as the Jonesville Food Pantry. So everybody will share in the goodies. A lot of people to thank, but as always, we had a great team of volunteers, including town board members and our own town clerk, who's working very hard. It was an action-packed 2 hours. I do want to thank 3N Document Destruction for being our corporate partner each and every time we've held this event. We've been doing it for many years now, and back when we started the shredding day, there weren't many, if any, others taking place. Since that time, each year it seems there's more and more of these events, but our event is still very, very busy. The numbers have not decreased. So it's definitely a service that people enjoy and value, so we'll continue to offer it twice a year. I do want to mention we have some events coming up here. Saturday, May 13th will be a celebration of open space and history together. It's turned into an annual community event, and there's a whole list of events and exhibits that will be occurring all day on Saturday, May 13th. You can see, I won't name all of them, go through the whole list now, but they are available on the website. This coming Saturday is Learn to Fish Day, 9 to 1 at the Barney Road Park Pond. So please bring your kids, and you can learn how to fish. And again, that's Family Fishing Clinic. Again, that's May 6th, 9 to 1. I also want to mention, too, that our third edition of the Clifton Park Senior Community Center newsletter, third one since the town assumed operational responsibility of the center in late December, is hot off the presses and has gone out by mail and email to many members of the center. There's some great new programs. Again, this month, each month, we've been adding new programs, new sponsors. new activities, and so we expect May will be another exciting month. So if you haven't received it, or if you're thinking about becoming a member and would like a copy, please contact my office and I'll make sure that you receive one. You can find it on the website under our Senior Center page. Any other communications or announcements? Yes, Mrs. Stanley.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the hundreds of volunteers that came out for cleanup day on April 22nd. We had folks on every corner of the town that Saturday helping to clean up our trails, our parks, and our open spaces in preparation for Open Space and History Week. So I just, again, want to thank everyone for coming out. We also had another group this past weekend over at the Common. We had some folks over at Northwoods Nature Preserve this past Saturday. We've got more coming up next weekend, too. There's still work to be done, though. So if anyone wants to do a little bit of cleanup, and we've got a lot of open spaces to clean up, just let me know. Please call here at Town Hall 371-6651, and we can set you up with a location. But again, a tremendous turnout.
Yeah, it was a record number of volunteers, over 500 volunteers registered this year. So there was a group of us going around and picking up all the filled bags of garbage and yard waste, a lot of leaves. We didn't get to everything, that's for sure. Mike and his guys did a lot of that picking up on Monday with dozens of locations. We couldn't possibly get to everything, but it was a great day and a great community event, and something that will continue on an annual basis. So thank you to the hundreds of people that took part. Anyone else? Communications or announcements? Okay, very good. We'll get to the first order of business this evening. Every month, Saratoga County has a deceased veteran ceremony on a rotating basis. The municipalities around the county submit names of deceased veterans that they would like to honor, and the county performs a very nice ceremony. It's a ceremony that's both indoors and outdoors. They do a tremendous job, and it's very meaningful for the families, and something that's very special to all of us up on the County Board of Supervisors. And we had submitted the name of James Trainer, and Pat is going to read a resolution that we have prepared in Mr. Trainer's honor. Pat?
This is resolution number 108 of 2017, a resolution recognizing James J. Trainer for dedicated service to his nation and community. Whereas on March 19, 2016, the people of the town of Clifton Park lost a valued member of the community, an outstanding veteran of the Korean War with the passing of James Trainer. And whereas the town board reflects our community's desire to reflect on the service and contributions of members of our military service branches throughout the country, with a special emphasis on members of the Clifton Park community who have served their country with distinction. And whereas the town board wishes to pause to remember James J. Trainer, who served his country during a unique time in our history, and whereas Airman Trainer served in the United States Air Force from October 18, 1951 through October 18, 1955. And whereas Airman Trainer was awarded the Korean Service Medal with 1 Bronze Service Star, the United Nations Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and the Good Conduct Medal during his service. And whereas after his military service to his country, Mr. Trainer went on to a dedicated career at General Motors Acceptance Corporation for 42 years, moving to Clifton Park in 1995. And whereas Mr. Trainer served his community as coach for Clifton Park Baseball and Babe Ruth World Series, and was a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the Knights of Columbus, and a communicant of St. Edward the Confessor Church in Clifton Park. Now therefore be resolved that the town board pauses to recognize and honor the service of James G. Trainer, who served his nation honorably as a member of the United States Air Force.
Thank you, Pat. I move that we approve the resolution with a second by the entire board.
Councilman Lennon?
Yes.
Council Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Rowland? Supervisor Barry?
Yes. And James' son Jim is here, and would like to say a few words.
Yes.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and the entire board. Resolution stole some of my thunder. Well done, as usual. I wanted to thank the board and the entire community for honoring my dad, my mom, and our entire family this evening. As Supervisor Barrett said, the county ceremony was phenomenal, and this is as well, so thank you very much. As the resolution read, my dad served in many ways, various capacities over his long lifetime. He first served his country in the time of war in Korea. He did serve General Motors as a loyal and faithful employee for 42 years, and that's different than nowadays, 42 years with the same company. He loved it, and apparently they loved him, so he thought very highly of the company. He also served our family for over 60 years of both marriage and parenthood. And as the resolution said, he served this community in particular for about 15 years. He was the dugout coach that most of the kids just knew as Grandpa. And he loved it. But Dad also left a legacy of a loving wife, 4 children and 7 grandchildren. And I think he would be very proud to know that at least 7 of those family members have gone on to serve in uniform in the military services in one capacity or another. And also many other family members throughout the country volunteering with some great organizations doing good service work. So again, thank you on behalf of me personally, my mom, my deceased dad, and the rest of the family. May God continue to bless this great community. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And I do want to say your husband did leave a wonderful legacy for this town. I don't know anybody that didn't think very highly of Mr. Trainer for his legacy of service to his country and his community, and certainly his family. And I was very proud to know him, as many people in Clifton Park were. He was a great guy that served across many segments of our community. He made Clifton Park a better place, and that's one of the best legacies you could ever leave. So, on behalf of the town of Clifton Park and the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors, we bless you, we honor you, we honor your husband and your dad. And God bless you. And it is true. I mean, the other part of the legacy is the many family members that are in the military, and I was able to meet some of Jim's family, who I hadn't met in the past, and just all very, very impressive people. And Jim and Eileen's kids now military members as well. So that legacy of service has continued throughout the family, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Next up, Dr. Oliver Robinson's here. He's going to talk to us about the school budget. He stops by the town board meeting once a year to talk about the budget and see what he has to say. And I did mention, I told him while he's up here, I'm going to ask him some questions about the land. But I was only kidding.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is part of our annual retreat, so to speak, to come to the town board. You have actually hot off the presses newsletter, which won't be distributed until Wednesday, because technically by law, we have to wait till after the budget hearing. So you pretty much have a preview of what the community will be getting in advance. So I won't necessarily go through all the details, other than to say that some of the past years We take pride in putting together a budget that first and foremost supports the needs of our students, and secondly, that's very cognizant to the tax impact for this community. And one of the measures of that is the tax cap. Our tax cap this year was calculated at 2.97. The tax levy we're looking at is 2.1, so we are well below the tax cap. And with that also comes with the governor of the state has a tax cap plan that we have to be approved. And with an approved tax cap plan, if certain people remember last year, there was a reimbursement for the difference in taxes, and so it will be similar reimbursement in 17, 18 as well. Just some quick highlights. This budget, as in past years, we really look at the entire dimension of the school district from a K-12 perspective and asking ourselves some key questions. Is this the best way to provide program services to our kids? Have we identified not only existing but also emerging needs, and how are we preparing for those emerging needs as we move forward? So as you look through this, you'll see we have some addressing some elementary pieces. In many cases, the elementary piece is driven by enrollment patterns and trying to adjust staffing levels accordingly at the elementary level. Recognizing the increased rigor for students who graduate from high school, some added focus, particularly in the area of mathematics, because right now that's increasingly becoming one of the more difficult regions exams for students to pass, and so we want to make sure that we're bolstering our capacity so students can be successful. Look at some additional supports in the area of mental health, a growing area of need for not only students, but I would say in society in general, so trying to bolster some of our capacity in that area is pretty important to us. CTE, Career Technical Education, is one of those areas that over the past years, because of such intense focus on a college piece of that whole notion of college and career, I think schools in general has been so separating so much on that some of the career technical pieces have been there, but not necessarily the type of attention that's necessary. And we want to gear up to get back to that, particularly as technology allows us to do some pretty neat and exciting things for our students. So we're pretty excited about those type of things. Speaking of technology, last year we started one-to-one with grade 6, and we've been working backwards for 4th and 5th, and we're working forward to 7 and 8, and already planning for high school. So we have technology throughout the district, however, in a much more rigorous way in terms of really trying to take advantage of what technology provides our students and teaching them in ways that they learn. A growing, and I would say continually growing area for us is focus on new language learners. And as a community, our demographics has changed tremendously, and I think it's been some tremendous benefit to our community as a result. And so how do we better prepare to look at some of those type of things? At the secondary level, we have, just kind of back up, and I mentioned it last year, but for people who might be listening to the first time, as a school district, we have almost two very distinct populations of students. K-5, when I say class, the graduating class. K-5, the large class from grades K-5 is about 630, 640. 612, we have classes above 800. So to show you the contrast. And so as we look out 5, 6 years, we see what's happening. We see more in-migration, people moving in at later ages of their students. So we want to see will that pattern pick up, or quite frankly, do we level off at a different level 5 or 6 or 7 years out? So overall, district enrollment has actually gradually increased over time, but it makes it trickier to forecast because there's so much reliance on in-migration, people moving in and not knowing who the students will be, versus in the past there was a tremendous reliance on looking at birth rates and predicting, okay, if X number of children were born in 5 years, they'll be in our system. So that's not as strong a predictor of our enrollment growth as we've seen in the past. And so I pointed out because one area that we've seen this squeeze is in middle school. All 3 buildings are pretty solid numbers, and so we're watching that to see how far will that transition take us. So there's some additional staffing to address some of those things in this budget as well. So from athletics to the arts, to academics, we try to see what can we do to further support the needs of our kids. And I'll just end with the arts, for example. For the first time, quite frankly, in a long time, we are actually looking, we have always had part-time pieces of a music teacher. We're looking to bring in a full-time FTE music teacher because Shannon music programs are, quite frankly, I put them up against the best in the country. And we see more and more kids who start their musical journey, particularly in middle school, and stay with it through high school. A lot of times you see kids get into it, by the time they get to ninth grade, they have more options and they opt to do other things. We see more and more kids, and so that's one of those neat problems to have when you see, and take it from a person who couldn't pay a note to say, and I know Phil, you're pretty musically talented fellow yourself, so you appreciate it. So that's one of those areas that for the first time we're like, wow, we legitimately need to address this. Because it's a neat problem to have and not having students not necessarily fulfilling their dreams and talents. So there are a lot of things in this budget, and it's a budget that we think that, quite frankly, is very consistent with our benchmarks in terms of when we look at budget from year to year, and one that's also very cognizant to the tax impact as we move forward. So our budget vote is on May 16th, and one of the things I just want to remind people is in the same place that we've had the budget since I've been here now 12 years, in the Guam Middle School, and we have 3 propositions on the budget. The budget itself, we have a proposition for bus purchases. We have a bus replacement plan, and put things in perspective. Every morning, about 206 buses roll out of the transportation department, and at the end of the day, we transport, depends on time of the year, I would assume, anywhere from about 12,000 to about 13,000 kids. Not only students here, but we transport private parochial kids outside of the district and other outside places as well. So our buses are in many places at the same time. So we have a replacement plan to replace about 22, and we go from 19 to 21, 22 buses every year. So that's a part of the replacement cycle to keep the average age from 7 to 10 years, what we call industry standard for buses recognized at high mileage. And then the last piece of it, we have 2 seats up for re-election, 4 individuals running for re-election. I'm just going to look around, I know one is here for sure. Mrs. Baber, who was the incumbent, announced at our last board meeting that she will not be running, so this is technically her last town board meeting as a board member.
Well, she can come back next week.
Yes, she can come back next week.
She's got more time now, right, Mary?
That's true. And then she'll be here all the time. That's right. Mr. Bill Casey, also incumbent, said he will be running again, so he's one candidate. Then we have 3 newcomers, so to speak. We have Mrs. Neilman Hoffman, who's here tonight. She's running for the first time. We have Mrs. Alexandra Blaze. She's running for the first time. And Mrs. Jennifer Gleason, who's also running for the first time. So we have a contested election, 4 individuals running for 2 seats. So this always brings some excitement to the budget process as well. So we're pleased with where we are as a school system, recognizing that like with most things, there are challenges always on the horizon. And we try to do the best job to predict what's coming down the pike and prepare accordingly. So I'll pause there in case you had any burning questions about the budget. I'll be more than happy to address that.
Well, let's see. I don't get this opportunity but once a year, so...
Remember, I know where you live.
I still have to get it checked, too. I don't want to forget that. I do want to, before I forget, though, I do want to congratulate Mary and Jim, by the way. I mean, Jim, it wasn't long ago you were on the school board, so I do want to congratulate and thank both of you for your service to the community. Now, you mentioned the technical programs. I think that's fantastic, because I think there needs to be, personal opinion, needs to be more emphasis on those. So, without getting too far into the weeds, you know, can you tell us a little bit about some of the...
One of the things that we have a lot of good programs now, but very separate from each other. And I give you just a simple example. One of our, we have a pretty extensive pre-engineering program that a lot of our kids go through and do very well in college, quite frankly, very prepared from an engineering perspective. So one of the teachers invited me to a class where the students designed and built simple model houses, so to speak. And I mean, it was impressive. I'm sitting there thinking, my gosh,
Yeah.
this is pretty impressive. And in talking to actually some of the students, what was your role? What was your role? And one young gentleman, his role, he was the creative designer, for lack of a better word. And so I was like, wow. He's like, well, actually, I'm a great art student. And I thought, wow, think about that for a second. And just by happenstance that this kid happened to be a great art student. But think about how, example, we start marrying programs and playing to the strengths, not only the strengths of students, but also the strengths of what program we bring to the table. And I use it, for example, if we're designing, we're in the process of construction now. When we have architectural meetings, we have people there who are the specialization in this type of construction or those kind of things. But then we have the people there who are, quite frankly, the design people. And bringing all those people together creates a great product. And so when we think about that type of exposure, so connecting engineering to art, to business, to all those kind of things to make the experience for kids rich, and also create a situation where someone say, well, I have no interest in engineering, so I'm not sure why I want to take that class that builds that product. Well, I have interest in art. Well, that's be a perfect combination. Or I have interest in business. Well, that'll be a perfect combination because someone else designed it, someone else constructed it, and you can talk about how you market it. Again, some are real live applications in terms of how things happen in the real world. And it doesn't matter where you're working, what company, what profession, there's always a marrying of skill sets that happens that make for good production. And so those are the type of exposures. And so I've been spending some time myself personally talking to some colleagues across the state, across the country, that are doing some really neat things in that area and saying, how can we, because I'm a farmer, if someone's doing well, I want to figure out what you're doing and try to replicate some of those kind of things. Because we have great individual programs, we have extremely enthusiastic and bright kids and talented staff. And so how do we try to marry that in a way that we leverage the individual parts much more than we're doing right now versus having disparate programs, so to speak. And so that's one of those areas that we see that. And technology helps bridge a lot of those gaps. And so how do you make that experience for kids something that, when they look back on their high school career, they're like, wow, that was actually pretty cool. And I'm now living it as an adult. So that's the idea we want to get to.
Well, that's great. I think any emphasis on technical programs is good. Not everybody wants to go to college, and there's certainly, there's shortages in a lot of trades. So if you go and get qualified and good education in the trades, you can very well consider.
Very well, because we pay the premium price when when we go anywhere and someone has a specialist guy like me who I can't even tinker without creating more problems. So I'm not allowed to tinker in my house. And someone else comes and I'm like, wow, I could have done that for that price, but I realized it's impossible.
You know what I started doing? I started watching YouTube. You watch the videos to fix it yourself. I'm telling you, it's great.
I'll take your word for that.
I fixed my garage door. I fixed the washing machine, all from the YouTube, and I'm myriad of other.
And that's a dryer, huh? It doesn't wash it, but it gets everything dry.
Yeah, my washer dries and my dryer washes. I don't know what.
But we certainly want to encourage those who are here, those who are listening, and certainly those who interact with to come out. And I can't tell people how to vote, but certainly my objective is to try to provide the best opportunities for our students to be successful. And at the end of the day, the measure is when they walk across the stage, and I see some young people walking in there today. Today's May Day, the big commitment day for many kids, and that's one of the many measures of success. When kids have options when they leave Shannon, that's what we want. We want kids to have options, multiple options after leaving the walls of Shannon. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that in the past, and have all intentions of continuing to get better into the future.
Fantastic.
I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Any other questions for Dr. Rhodes? Yes, Mr.
I noticed down here it says absentee ballots can be obtained by calling the district office. Is that the only way to obtain absentee ballots?
Yeah, so there's application that's online. People submit application, and once we get the application, we can go through that process. So there's an online application piece as well to apply to get absentee ballots.
So you can apply online or call the office.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Good.
Thank you much. We'll be talking soon, all right?
Appreciate it. Yes, I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Knock off a little bit of time. All right, very good. Take care, I'll see you.
Appreciate it.
So next up on our agenda this evening is Belmonte Builders. They're going to discuss the Wade Meadows open space incentive zoning proposal. John, while Joe's setting up here, why don't you go through the process a little bit and where we've been and how we got here and what's next?
Sure. On March 17th of this year, Belmonte Builders filed what they call a Planned Unit Development District pursuant to our zoning code, a PUD, or PDD, I'm sorry, we changed it from PUD to PDD, Planned Development District. Basically allows the town board to consider a rezoning of the current assigned zoning. So it's a land use tool that is within the town code that the town board can choose to invoke or keep the assigned zoning to a parcel. Belmonte Builders has submitted the application, the town board has reviewed it. At this point, an initial presentation is being made and will be referred to the planning board. The planning board will have 45 days to respond in writing to the town board with an opinion to approve with modifications, or deny the request as submitted or amended by the applicant. The applicant will appear before the planning board. The planning board traditionally allows for public comment. I'm expecting that it'll probably be the first meeting in June that it will appear before the planning board. I would encourage residents who are interested in the project to go to cliftonpark.org, and under alerts you can sign up to receive the town planning board agendas and also town board agendas, so that's a good way to track when a project will be appearing before one of these two boards. Once the recommendation is received back by the town board can choose to schedule a public hearing to consider the application that's before them this evening, and then after the public hearing, the board can choose to advance the PDD or not at that point.
So under the project that was approved back a few years or several years ago, that was for
33 lots.
33. Now these are single-family homes. 33 single-family homes. Now through the Western GIS zoning, that was the max density that they could get out of that parcel, correct?
Correct. Well, the Western GIS would actually yield a total of 34, but at that time they went with 33 units.
Okay. And there is a provision within our Western GIS, and for those that aren't familiar with that, that was a process that we went through about a dozen years ago now. We had an 18-month building moratorium in the western part of town, as we described it, and went through a complete rezoning. And the goal of the plan at that time was to lessen the density in the future under a full build-out scenario for the western part of town. Now, there's a provision in there where if a developer would like to, a landowner would like to increase the density, they can submit an application to do so, which is what we're considering here this evening, to increase the density of the project, but at the same time, there's a cost to the developer or landowner, correct?
Correct. It's an open space density incentive zoning, so effectively the legislation within the CR zone has already wrote in effect, a land use tool as a PDD that allows for an increase in density if there's a community benefit. In this project, and I know the applicant, I don't want to steal his thunder, but for example, the project that they can pull building permits for now would create 64.4 acres of open space, either permanently deed restricted or dedicated to the town. The revised plan will provide 70 acres, so they're increasing the amount of open space. They're reducing about 70,000 square feet of asphalt. by eliminating cul-de-sacs, so less impervious surface, and the density incentive bonus would also pay into the town's dedicated open space fund, which can only be used to acquire or permanently protect lands elsewhere within the CR zone within Western Clifton Park. And we've had a successful project in the past where a portion of open space funds collected through the density incentive program were used to acquire the 41 acres on the waterfront.
Now, the reason there's less property being disturbed and additional open space remaining, and the reason why there's less impervious surface, i.e. pavement, less pavement, is the development as designed now compared to the first design is more compact and less pavement. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's pulling away from the neighboring properties and condensing towards the center of the parcel, the focus of the development.
And I know highway likes less cul-de-sacs. Less tight turns, right? Yeah. Okay, very good. I wasn't sure what you were bringing tonight, Joe, so I know we have some stuff in the way. Mike, Matt, can you move that projector screen out of the way so we can position these a little better towards the audience? Just move that back, move that projector toward the back of the room and get that out of the way since we won't need that. Maybe you can just tilt that in a little bit, Joe. Yeah. Make yourself comfortable. All right, go ahead.
Good evening, Joe Danable with Environmental Design.
Actually, if you can move that microphone a little closer, too, Joe.
How's that?
That's good.
All right, Joe Danable with the Environmental Design Partnership. Here on behalf of Belmonte Builders. I'm here tonight with Mr. Peter Belmonte of Belmonte Builders. We're presenting an application for a 68-lot cluster subdivision located on Wheat Road. The project itself is located about 1,000 feet northwest of the intersection of Wheat Road and 146. If you look at the map on your left, that is the aerial view. The black lines highlight the property itself. Running along this section of the route is Route 146. We have Miller and Tanner roads and Wheat Road heading up in a northwesterly direction. We've been at this project for some time. It was originally approved, as you said, as a 33-lot subdivision. In 2011, we obtained all appropriate stamps of approval from the town, county, state agencies, etc. at that point in time. Several things have changed over the course of 6, 7 years, and we decided to revisit this application. I've had several meetings with town board members, as well as the highway superintendent, John Scavell in planning, Steve Myers in the building department, and really made a lot of headway on this project. There's significant benefits between this project and what was previously approved, and that's what I want to hit on tonight as we present this project. Again, on the left is the original subdivision approved in 2011, which represents 33 single-family homes. Those homes and lots are roughly an acre in size. The layout itself promoted a significant amount of asphalt pavement due to having one entrance to the project. In order to have one entrance with 33 homes, we received a waiver from the fire board that would require us to have excessively wide roads, large boulevard sections, which extended very deep into the parcel. And this is for fire safety and making sure we had 2 ways in and out of the project so that fire and emergency vehicles could get in and out in the event of an emergency. As we revisited the code, we looked at the fire codes, we met with the town. One of the substantial benefits, and this is something that Steve Myers could speak to, is we are now providing a development which has 68 homes within it, and every one of these homes will be equipped with an automatic sprinkler system. This is state-of-the-art for the town. I don't believe another development in this town, or of course, per se, Saratoga County exists with a sprinkled single-family development. It's common in commercial developments, apartments, low-rises and high-rises, and things of that nature. But it is, again, I don't believe it's anywhere in Saratoga County. So by providing emergency or automated sprinkler systems for the entire development, this was seen by the building department and the fire departments as a substantial benefit to emergency services and response times to that community. And as such, the waiver that was granted for the excessively wide roads and boulevards and pavements was granted to this new layout with the 68 lots because of the automated sprinklers that are provided. So I think that's at the first and foremost of the benefits of this community. Another thing, and it's been hinted on and talked about several times, is we had a significant reduction in the amount of impervious surface on this site. The original layout had close to 5 acres of road surface, impervious surfaces on site. We reduced that by nearly 2 acres of land, down by about 75,000 square feet. So a significant reduction in the amount of impervious area on the site, which yields a significant reduction in the amount of stormwater management facilities that ultimately would be dedicated to the town, and the town and the highway department would be given that land to maintain from here on out. Other items. The original layout, as you can see it, was proposed with a single access road and 1, 2, 3, 4 cul-de-sacs. The new layout, as we look at on this plan here, we've eliminated the cul-de-sacs and have a modified cul-de-sac with better turning radii located in this area. I met with the highway superintendent, and he saw this, as you have stated, as a substantial benefit, reducing plow times, the amount of time it takes to maintain this area during a snowstorm. And again, another benefit to the highway department is the reduction in the number of storm ponds and ultimately the size of those storm ponds because of the reduced impervious area. Open space. As you see, I got a rather colorful map here. There's substantial benefits to open space in this development. And the original development yielded about 65 acres of open space. This plan is yielding close to 70 acres of open space, so we increased the overall open space on the property. And we also increased the amount of open space being dedicated to the town. As we look at the approved subdivision, the blue area, the highlighted blue areas, were the land that was proposed to be dedicated to the town. The pink areas was designated as deed restricted, privately owned open space. In our new layout, the blue areas on the map are the proposed lands to be dedicated to the town as deed restricted open space, and we've minimized the amount of privately owned deed restricted open space. Also, and I think this is one of the bigger factors, is within the open space there's, let's step back, there's developable land that could be used for development, not constrained by wetlands, steep slopes, or environmental constraints. In the original subdivision, there were 24 acres of developable land within the open space. Within the new subdivision, again, what I have highlighted in blue and pink, we've increased it from 24 acres of developable land to 47 acres of developable land. So a substantial increase, close to 20 acres of developable land of the site is being now dedicated to open space. Another benefit is the substantial buffer that we have, which will help shield the view of this project from Waite Road. Waite Road on this plan, as you're looking here, north would be up. Waite Road is located down in the southwest corner of the site. This area here is a New York State DEC and Army Corps wetlands. There's trees, tree groves associated with that, as well as land that's protected. that will continue to grow and provide substantial buffers for the site. And as you can look, and what we did with this cluster design, again, this is a true cluster design, is we tucked all the units, or the majority of the units, behind that wetland area in those tree groves, which will shield views of the project from Waite Road. This is the area I'm talking about, the wetland, the groves, the trees. Again, the development's occurring up here. Our road is down in this location. This is our substantial buffer. Looking from the east side of the project, it's all forested, National Grid lines. North, all forested, and to the west, substantial forest and some couple single-family homes. But again, they're pushed back from the property, and there's substantial tree groves that are existing. As you can see here, this blue along this property line, which falls here, would be protected and deed restricted. Water and sewer extensions. We're extending sewer and water to the property, not only servicing this community, but will also provide a dozen or so homeowners on Waite Road with the availability of connecting to sewer and water. Some of the soils out in this area of the town are not the best. They have high groundwater tables. By providing access to sewer, ultimately in the future, at times when those residents needed to redo their septic systems, they have the ability to tie into the sewer as well as tie into the public water supply that would be extended up Waite Road. Another benefit, and I think this is one of the something that's nice, is on the original development, we had a trail system proposed that came up into the town's open space, essentially dead-ended, and you came back out on the same trail system. In the new layout, we now have a continuous loop that comes up, goes through some town open space in the backyards, or behind the units, but well separated from those units. Comes up, crosses the road, does a complete loop, back through and down into the development. That would be an asphalt trail paved and dedicated to the town that would be able to be used by the residents of this community as well as the residents of the town of Clifton Park in general. A couple more benefits here. We reduce the wetland impacts with this layout. Again, as we're looking with the original layout, while this was somewhat of a cluster design, we wanted to take it and really eliminate the suburban sprawl that occurs and that the town was looking to diminish or reduce by having the Western Clifton Park GIS. We took these lots, which were roughly an acre inside, clustered them into a more compact area, reducing, as we said, the rows, increasing open space, and reducing those lot sizes anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 square feet. And we do have a few estate lots associated with that. So again, that giving us a true cluster and reducing that sprawl. And one of the last benefits, and I think this might be one of the more substantial, is with this town incentive zoning, it's written into the code that a public benefit needs to be provided for this project. And it's identified that a donation to the town's dedicated open space fund of $30,000 per additional lot over the base density would be granted or paid to the town in exchange for that density bonus. On this instance, we're looking at 34 lots, which would equate to about $1,020,000 that would be dedicated to the town. The town would then use that money to purchase developable land within Western Clifton Park or purchase the development rights of the developable land within Western Clifton Park. So again, I think this has been a long haul. We've been meeting with the town and various officials of the town for a 6-month period now. We think we have provided development that has provided substantial benefits, not only monetary, but also in the layout, reduction of impacts, reduced maintenance for the highway department, and come up with a layout that we're looking at here. We'd ask that if the board felt appropriate, that they refer this application to the planning board for additional comments and recommendations. I'm here tonight to answer any questions the board may have about this application. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. It's important to note that per the Western GIS study, any funds that derive from the open space incentive zoning option, that money needs to be spent within the Western GEIS study area. So, we can't buy any land at exit 9 with it. In case anybody was by chance thinking about that. You can't buy land up in exit 10 or whatever, but, so it has to be within the study area. That's the only place where the money can be spent. So I just want to make that point. Joe, I don't know if it's too early, but do you have any idea what the average price of the home might be, or a range?
For that, I refer to the builder himself. I mean, it might be a little too early to discuss that, but we could have a better idea of the range.
We don't have a good handle on what the actual costs are going to be. So giving you an accurate number would be foolish, but our products typically are ranging in the upper threes on up to $500,000-$600,000. So it would fall probably somewhere in the fours on average.
Yeah, okay. And I was going to ask you about public services, and you did mention that. Now, you're proposing to run water and sewer up to that driveway, basically, leading into the development, right?
Correct. We run utilities and actually dead end them at our northwestern property boundary so that they could be extended further down Wade Road easily in the future.
Okay. All right, and can you just outline that trail again? It's just that loop on the upper half, right?
Yeah, this trail here.
Okay. All right.
Probably
Any
close
other?
to 3,000 to 4,000 linear feet, just shy of mine.
Oh. Any other questions from the board? Sure.
I think it's interesting, it's important, I think, to point out too, that the building in this area has already been approved by the planning board. All permits have been approved. So this is a modification to a plan that's already been approved. I mean, lots could be built now if you so chose, as opposed to going this route. One thing that I find interesting with it is certainly the fire department has approved this. It's a fire suppression system that you mentioned. I was wondering if you could tell people a little bit about that, because I know for me, when we had met, there was some education that I needed in terms of having sprinklers into homes. I know that's an issue that the building code in the state of New York, the building code council has discussed over the last few years. There's a lot of controversy about that. I was wondering if we could educate people on what that really means. I think a lot of people, such as myself, have an idea of you burn something on the stove, and the next thing you know, the sprinklers are ruining everything in your house, and you're going to be filing an insurance claim. And that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the automated fire suppression system would go off when there's a substantial amount of smoke within the residence, similar to you see in a commercial.
There's a lot of heat. It's heat activated. The way the sprinkler system works is it's got heat sensors built into the home. The home has to elevate to a certain heat level, a certain temperature, and that will activate the system. By the time that home reaches that temperature, you've got a problem. It's well beyond normal operating conditions, well beyond using the stove or burning the toast or any of that. It's very elevated temperatures where there's truly a problem. It detects it, it fires the system off. The intention is to suppress the system to the point where it gives the fireman additional time and gives the individuals in the home additional time to vacate the property. The intention of the sprinkler system is not to save the structure, it's purely to save lives.
And as you said, there is no other project in the county that has utilized this technology?
There may be, there are certain homes, but I don't think.
But on a mass scale and
not that I'm aware of.
Well,
If you're not aware of one, it is a common practice in commercial construction
right.
or construction of multifamily homes such as an apartment complex, but we're not aware of any residential single-family home neighborhood in Saratoga or any of the surrounding area that has a fire suppression system as part of the amenities of the community.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. And the process at this point, John, would be, and there is a resolution on the agenda for you to consider, which would approve the referring this application to the planning board. The planning board would come back to the town board within 60 days with a recommendation, but it's a recommendation only. Ultimately, it's the town board's decision as to increasing the density and to what extent. Anything?
The only thing I'd like to add is while it's not a public hearing, the planning board regularly allows for the public to provide comments and feedback. So I would encourage residents to look over the application prior to that planning board meeting. If they have any concerns, they can express them at the meeting or submit them in writing, because a lot of times planning board members, if they have them in writing prior to the meeting, will also have them sitting next to them as they're looking through the plans, thinking of ways to potentially mitigate any concerns that adjacent property owners may have, or questions for the applicant when he presents to the planning board.
And those plans are always available in the planning department. So if anybody would like to see the plans in person, you can certainly do that at any time right here at Town Hall on the second floor. Okay. So-
Jonesville Fire District?
What's that?
Jonesville Fire District?
That is, boy, it's really close, but I think it's Jonesville. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty close. Yeah. Yes.
How about the traffic? I mean, you're more than doubling the traffic. You have 30 homes to start off. I forgot the number.
Yeah.
And that's 30 cars. And then you got 32. So now it's a 60. Now you're doubling it to 60 something. So that's 120 and that. But I mean, have the traffic and have you done studies on that and how that's going to take on the hilltop?
Well, I mean, they haven't been through the planning process at this
Oh,
point,
so that would be the
obviously.
planning board?
Huh?
That would be a question to the planning board?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Anything you want to say for that, Jim?
Yes, as part of the planning board process, the applicant would have to do at least a traffic analysis to look at anticipated trip generation. We use a national standard by the Institute of Traffic Engineers that assign a trip ratio based on what they call an EDU, which is equivalent dwelling unit, single-family home. So the applicant, as part of the planning board review process, would prepare that traffic analysis and submit it for the town planning board review. And in addition to that, the town planning board has a town designated engineer that has, I think it's 9 traffic engineers on staff that would also review it and ask any questions based on that traffic analysis as the process goes forward.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Piggyback on her question. I live on Wheat Road, and relative to the $1 million that donation that's being provided,
Yeah.
is there any way that those funds could be utilized to help Wheat Road? Like, for example, there's no shoulder on Wheat Road.
Mm-hmm.
So as a resident of Wheat Road, traffic is a concern for active use pedestrian. If there's a way that the lease could be used for a sidewalk. I know when my house was built, they reserved an easement for a pathway. I mean, that would be a better use of funds. And I know that it's a selfish position, but a better use of funds to add to the concerns of traffic.
I don't believe there's provision for the funds to be used for that, John, or am I wrong?
I can look into that. I believe it is for a land bank or acquisition of development rights or purchase. But it is something through the planning process that if they're bringing up water and sewer from Wheat Road, and again, I'm not committing for the developer at this point, we can explore every opportunity. Is there an opportunity to provide potentially an extended shoulder if they're going to be digging up for utilities? Something we can look at.
They're only bringing utilities to that street. They're only bringing.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
They're only bringing utilities up to that street.
That's
though,
correct.
The new street.
Well,
So
to up to the development, that's
up
correct.
to the development, which
That's
is like not even an eighth of a mile in, give or take, right? It's about an eighth of a mile, right?
How far did you say it was?
It's about an eighth of a mile in.
1,000 feet.
It's 5 houses. Yeah, it's 5 houses. I'm house number 3. So I'm house number 6.
Yes, sir.
Oh, can you bring sewer and water past that, so the people right in the immediate area
Yeah,
could have water and sewer?
well, there,
Accepted.
yeah, how far are you from the proposed entrance here?
300 feet, 200 feet.
Oh, okay, so you are close.
So how many feet, what's the limit?
There is no limit, but there is a process, and we've successfully completed that process on several occasions. There is a process with people that are interested in having sewer or water extended. Basically, it comes down to the amount of support that people have. The town, for such a thing. The town will put together an engineering plan for people that are interested in water and or sewer to be extended, and inform residents in a proposed district what the cost will be over time. And then once we provide the cost estimates to the interested parties, it's up to them if they support the district moving forward. So it could be, it can be a water district, can be a sewer district, but it's a proposed district with set boundaries. So we could say, for instance, they bring it to the entrance of this new development, and then we can say, okay, we're going to look to run water and sewer all the rest of the length of Waite Road, okay, just for example.
Why not?
Right, so, what's
Why
that?
not? Why not do it?
Right, why not? Exactly.
Town needs water
Right.
and sewer.
Right.
We need it.
So what we would do is, we'd say, okay, we'd have an engineer do a study and say, this is what it's going to cost to run water that length, this is what it's going to cost to run sewer. We would take all of the properties into account and their assessed values, come up with how much it would cost each homeowner, and then we present that information to you in a setting like this, in a public meeting, and get your feedback and see if there was enough interest to move forward. If there was, then we would definitely move forward, as we have in other areas of the town. So it can be a complicated and long process, but it works, because we've done it many times.
In other words, it's the town process. Nothing with Belmont.
Oh, that's correct. It's strictly between the town and the interested homeowners. And basically what the town would do is float the bond for the district. And the district would be made up of all the homeowners within the defined boundaries of a water and or sewer district. So we would float the bond, the homeowners would pay it back over typically 20 years. So we could, now with the sewer and water coming down, whatever it is, eighth of a mile, half a mile, whatever it is, so that brings it a little closer to you, obviously. So it would be less expensive to run it down the rest of Waite Road, since they're taking it at least some distance.
And the lady back there talking about sidewalk.
Yeah.
There's so many pipes going down that. Last week, the guy almost got killed. He ran off the road and worked for the fire. Right by that red area, that pile. You can go over there, look, you still can see the mark.
Okay.
And then, speed limit don't mean nothing there, I don't know why.
Speed limits are a challenge everywhere, I can tell you that. Any other questions about the, yes,
I
ma'am?
just want to clarify, so we have to say all of our questions with regard to why all the property was just plowed over and mowed over last summer, we wait for all of that, that's all planning board questions, right? And what's going to happen to the
When you
water
say the
levels and
property
things?
was mowed over last year?
Last
did
summer,
you?
yeah,
Oh.
last summer, they cleared it, I think
Oh,
in preparation to
okay.
try to figure out what
Yeah.
they were doing, I don't know. But even the wetlands area there were just mowers in there for like 2 days and they mowed everything.
Mhm.
Took down all the trees, to the point where my backyard, because I'm house number 3 on Waite Road,
Yeah,
used to have a trickle stream in my woods, now it's marsh. because there's nothing to retain the water that, was kind of being, the vegetation that was there was obviously taking up some of that. But I don't want to bother this committee with it. The questions that we have.
Well, that's the type of
really-
question that should go to our planning director
Planning,
and our
okay.
stormwater management person,
Okay, all right.
and they can take a look at that.
I think the applicant actually, we did look at that last year, it was actually Army Corps and DEC that requested that because they had to revalidate the wetlands and they wanted access to that area, so they actually delineated to the applicant the areas that they wanted access to, so I'll let Joe speak to that.
That happened after I filed a complaint that had been mowed over before there were any flags. I came down here and filed a complaint.
But it was at the request so Army Corps and DEC could have access to the property.
And our Army Corps and DC couldn't get into the property. It was overgrown brush fields, 15 years, farm fields that have overgrown brush hogs. Completely compliant with any standards for the town, DEC, and Army Corps. Certainly, there's no violations. Army Corps and DEC have been involved in this process for a couple years now.
Is that your understanding, John?
It's my understanding because they were out there, both DEC and Army Corps, after the mowing occurred to be able to validate the wetlands. I asked them to also verify if there was any valid violations, and it was my understanding, based on the feedback from both of those agencies, that it was that upon their request to have access to the property that mowing took place in anticipation of them coming on site to revalidate the wetland delineation.
Are there any other questions? Okay. So, like I said, as far as the town board's concerned, there is a resolution to refer it for your consideration this evening. As John Scavo had mentioned, you can sign up for alerts through the town website for planning or town board, so please do so. And if there are any questions in the meantime, you can refer those to myself or John Scavo, and we'll be sure to get you answers. Okay? And again, you can come in anytime and take a look at the proposal. And Joe, maybe what you can do is move those over here in case folks want to get a close-up look on their way out. Sure. All right, great. Okay. Very good, thank you. All right, we do have several resolutions for consideration. Pat, if you read through those and we'll consider each one individually.
A resolution referring a density increase request on the Wake Meadows Conservation Subdivision application by the Belmonte Builders to the planning board for further review. Whereas project narrative, requested incentive and proposed amenity subdivision calculations, site location map, constrained and unconstrained plan, and proposed layout was submitted to the town board on March 17, 2017 by Belmonte Builders, Inc. in accordance with section 208-4310 et sec of the town board. Whereas the applicant is requesting a density increase for subdivision in accordance with section 208-4313A of the town code, and whereas the town board has determined that the project should be advanced to the planning board for its non-binding advisory opinion pursuant to section 208-4316B of the town code, now therefore be resolved that the application for the density increase associated with open space incentive zoning as outlined in section 208-4310 of the town code is referred to the town's planning board for advisory opinion consistent with that chapter, and be it further resolved that the town board will reserve any further determinations on the application pending receipt of the planning board's opinions and recommendations. Resolution authorizing the issuance of a mass gathering permit to Schmaltz Brewing Company for an event to be held in celebration to celebrate the 4th anniversary of the operation of the brewery. Whereas Schmaltz Brewing Company has requested that the town issue a mass gathering permit for a party to be held at the brewery located at 6 Fairchild Square to celebrate the 4th anniversary of the operation of the brewery. And whereas the celebration will be held on Saturday, June 24th, 2017, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with attendance estimated at 600 plus or minus people in attendance. And whereas a one-day permit was issued to the brewery by the New York State Liquor Authority. And whereas Section 16 of the town code requires a mass gathering permit for one-day events where admission is charged, and whereas the town has been provided with information concerning this activity, and whereas the town has been named as an additional insured on the required insurance policy, now therefore be resolved that the town board is satisfied with the information provided, and that the proposed public assemblage will have no effect on the public health, safety, and welfare of the people and the property of the township of Park. And be further resolved that the town board hereby directs that a permit be issued to Schmaltz Brewing Company to celebrate the 4th anniversary of the opening of the brewery. Celebration to take place on June 24th, 2017, from 1 to 5 p.m. upon compliance with Section 10316 of the Town Code for a tent permit. Resolution hiring Christopher Daniels as a part-time laborer for the Barney Road Golf Course for the 2017 season. Whereas the town board wishes to hire a part-time laborer for the upcoming season at the Barney Road Golf Course, and whereas Michael Hanrahan, Director of Buildings and Grounds, has recommended that Christopher Daniels, Main Street, Clifton Park, be hired to fill the position, now that it resolved that authorization is hereby given to hire Christopher Daniels as a part-time laborer for the Barney Road Golf Course, effective immediately through November 19, 2017, at $12 an hour, to be paid from that line item as listed. Resolution authorizing an increase in the rate of pay for Kathleen Bogucki as groundskeeper at the Barney Road Golf Course for the 2017 season. Whereas by resolution number 47 of 2017, Kathleen Bogucki was rehired as groundskeeper at the Barney Road Golf Course for the 2017 season. And whereas Michael Hanrahan, Buildings and Grounds Supervisor, has recommended that the rate of pay be raised to $14.50 per hour, retroactive to the start of the 2017 season for Kathleen Bogucki, Cardell Rio, Clifton Park. That after be resolved, that authorization is hereby given to pay Kathleen Bogucki, Golf Course groundskeeper, for the 2017 season at an hourly rate of $14.50, not to exceed $17,500 for the season, and to be paid from Barney Road Golf part-time employee. Resolution awarding the contract for transfer station hopper repairs. Whereas the catwalks, decking, and support structures for the refuse receiving hopper system at the transfer station was found to require repair and replacement. And whereas the town published bid documents for the transfer station hopper repairs on March 30th, 2017, and whereas bids were open on April 13th, 2017, and whereas R&B Construction, LLC, submitted the lowest conforming bid in the amount of $44,125, and whereas McDonald Engineering has checked references and found R&B Construction, LLC, qualified to perform the work for which they bid, and has recommended that the contract be awarded to R&B Construction. Now therefore be resolved that the proposal of R&B Construction for the town of the Park Transfer Station hopper repairs accepted. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign a contract with R&B Construction LLC for the repairs to be paid from that line item is listed. A resolution authorizing the receiver of taxes and assessments to attend the New York State Association of Tax Receivers and Collectors Seminar. Whereas Christine Pagliello, receiver of taxes and assessments, has requested permission to attend the New York State Association of Towns Tax Collectors Seminar to be held at the High Peaks Resort in Lake Placid, New York, June 11th through the 14th, 2017, at a cost not to exceed $800. And whereas the amount has been budgeted for 2017 in the line item, tax collector travel and conferences, and whereas attendance at the seminar would confer benefit to the town citizens, that if it resolved that Christine Pagliello was hereby authorized to attend the tax collector seminar in Lake Placid, New York, from June 11th through the 14th, 2017, at a cost not to exceed $800, includes registration fee, lodging, and meals to be vouchered appropriately, and to be paid from the line item tax collector, travel, and conferences. A resolution scheduling a public hearing to consider a local law 2017, an amendment to section 208-22 to include nursing homes as a permitted use within the TC4 transition zone within town center. Whereas by local law 4 of 2015, the town board enacted town center zoning designations for the Exit 9 area. And whereas the town center zoning provides for more flexible, form-based zoning determinations for businesses, landowners, and developers within the town center area. And whereas local law 4, 2015 also repealed planned development districts within the town center zones, including the former Leonard Geriatric PDD, which encompassed the Skylar Ridge Nursing Home. And whereas the town board wishes to solicit public comment on a proposal to include nursing homes as a permitted use within the town center area, now therefore be resolved that the public hearing is hereby scheduled for 7:05 p.m. on May 15, 2017, on a proposed amendment to section 208-22 of the town code to include nursing homes as a permitted use within the TC4 transition zone within the town center, and be further resolved that the town clerk is directed to publish appropriate notice of the same. A resolution awarding a contract for algaecide treatments for 3 of the Clifton Knolls ponds. Whereas the town supervisor Whereas the town stormwater technician has received one bid for the aquatic vegetation control of the 3 town-owned ponds in Clifton Knolls, whereas Scott Reese, stormwater technician, has reviewed the proposal submitted for such professional services and recommends that Burden Aquatics be awarded the contract for algaecide treatments. Now therefore be resolved that the contract to perform professional services relating to algaecide treatments for the Clifton Knolls ponds is hereby awarded to Burden Aquatics with funds for services not to exceed $44,650 to become from the line items listed, and be further resolved that Supervisor Barrett is authorized to sign the contract. Resolution authorizing the purchase of 3 flashing crosswalk systems. Whereas the town supervisor has recommended that flashing beacons are warranted in the vicinity of Bishop Ferry Trail to increase awareness at the existing pedestrian crosswalks. And whereas the intersection adjacent sidewalk along Bishop Ferry Road and existing crosswalk see a high volume of pedestrian and bicycle activity, which warrants the installation of additional signage. Now therefore be resolved that authorization is hereby granted to the purchase of 3 Harmona bi-directional solar RFB crosswalk systems at a cost of $15,150 from the line items listed, and be it further resolved that the superintendent of highways is authorized to install 2 flashing crosswalk systems in the vicinity of Bishop Ferry, and one on Clifton Park Center Road. Resolution hiring seasonal lifeguards and head lifeguards for the 2017 summer season for Barney Road, Country Knolls, and Locust Lane pools. Whereas it is necessary that lifeguards and head lifeguards be hired to maintain a safe environment at the Clifton Park camp pools, as well as assist in the management of Barney Road, Country Knoll, and Locust Lane pools. And whereas the supervisor has recommended that the attached list of individuals be hired on the stated start dates as lifeguards and head lifeguards as at the attached rates, now therefore be it resolved that the individuals attached shall be hired as lifeguards and head lifeguards for the Barney Road, Locust Lane, and Country Knoll pools for the 2017 season to be paid as the rates as attached. Resolution to improve engineering studies to determine feasibility of trail projects in Dutch Meadows and on New York State Route 146 to transfer $25,000 from contingency. Whereas the town board wishes to apply for grant funding from the state of New York to support trail projects in these areas, and whereas the town board wishes to explore the feasibility and authorize engineers' estimates for trail projects to connect Dutch Meadows with Jonesville, and a separate project to connect Callowwood Drive with Northcrest Drive along State Route 146 to support completed grant applications for the projects. And whereas the engineering studies will provide detailed cost estimates for both projects, including survey, permitting, design, construction, and right-of-way acquisition, now therefore be resolved that the town board authorizes the preparation of engineering studies for trail projects along Helps Road from Dutch Meadows to Main Street, $25,000, and along State Route 146 from Callowwood Drive to Northwest Drive, $15,000, along with a transfer of $25,000 from the contingency to these line items are all listed in here.
Very good. Any questions on the resolutions? Okay, Pat, if you read the headings and we'll consider each one individually.
Resolution number 109, 2017, a resolution referring a density increase request on the Wake Meadows Conservation Subdivision application by Del Monte Builders to the planning board for further review.
So moved.
By Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallowitz. If this resolution is approved, the proposal will be referred to the planning board for additional review and recommendation. And then at that point, it's town board decision as far as the increase in density and how much. And there is no time limit as far as the town board decision, but planning board has 60 days to get back to the town board. Okay? Any further discussion?
Councilman Maryland?
Yes.
Councilman Standar? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallowitz? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 110 of 2017, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a gas gathering permit to Schmaltz Brewing Company for an event to be held to celebrate the 4th anniversary of the operation of the brewery.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Ms. Wallowitz. General, anything to add? We've got 2 resolutions here.
I'm in this one.
Oh. Oh, no, this is Mr. Bull. No.
This is a gas gathering.
Yeah. He's been working with Schmaltz on the?
On their 5K.
Right.
I want the
Yeah.
5K.
Right. Okay.
Councilman Leon?
Yes.
Councilman Stamos? Yes. Councilman Ballmer?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes.
Yes.
Resolution number 111 of 2017, a resolution hiring Christopher Daniels and part-time laborer for the Barney Road Golf Course for the 2017 season.
Moved by Ms. Wallowitz, second by Mrs. Standard. We have additional person here for the golf course. We lost a gentleman that worked there last year. He went on to greener pastures or greener greens or fairways, right?
Yes, yep. And Chris has worked for Van Patten before. He's been on that course actually years ago, so he knows the course, he knows the people that work there and the equipment, or some of the older equipment, so he did very well.
Good. And Kathy's coming back. She's been with us since the beginning of our tenure as owner.
Yes, that'll be the next resolution.
Right.
I just, it's purely on the paperwork problem, that's why we have to do that for the second time.
Oh, no problem. We'll overlook it this time.
And many more to come.
We'll add it to the list.
Councilman Leon?
Yes.
Councilman Stamos? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes.
Yes.
Resolution number 112 of 2017, a resolution authorizing an increase in the rate of pay of Kathleen Bogucki as groundskeeper at Barney Road Golf Course for the 2017 season. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen.
Councilman Leon? Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes. President?
Yes.
Resolution number 113 of 2017, a resolution awarding contract for transfer station upper case.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallowit. This was identified several months ago as some work that was recommended be done on the infrastructure of the transfer station. Right in the vicinity, in the area of the two hoppers where people bring their household garbage. So we did get 4 bids. And the original estimate was for $50,000, so this is $6,000 less than that. We checked out their references, and it's time to move forward with this project and get it done. You know, we could probably wait a couple of years on it, but best that we get this work done now, and our transfer station will be in good shape for many years into the future. Any discussion, questions? Okay, Pat?
Councilman Leon?
Yes.
Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes. President?
Yes.
Resolution number 114 of 2017, resolution authorizing the receipt of taxes and assessments to attend the New York State Association of Tax Receivers and Collectors Seminar. Second.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Mrs. Standard. Okay.
Councilman Leon?
Yes.
Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes.
Yes.
Resolution number 115 of 2017, a resolution scheduling a public hearing to consider a local law of 2017, an amendment to section 208.22 to include nursing homes as a permitted use within the TC4 transition zone within the town center. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. And John?
Yes, the TC4 zone, like the TC2 edge zone, is a transition zone adjacent to the residential zones surrounding the town's newest form-based zones, TC1 through TC6. TC2 allows nursing homes, TC4 did not. Version 4 of the draft had nursing homes as one of the edits to include with TC4. It didn't get picked up in the recommendations for TC5, but the intent was to include it. And after adoption of the form-based code, about 6 months later, we repealed a PDD amendment for Seton Health at the Skylar Ridge Nursing Home. They are back before the town with a proposal to build a 4th quad that was originally part of the repealed planned development district but never built. They're at a 120-bed facility. They will be remaining a 120-bed facility. What they're doing is they are eliminating all the double rooms and going to single room occupancy. So everybody will have their own private room within the nursing home facility. So this will allow that expansion to go forward as of right, as an allowed use within the code.
Very good. Any questions before we consider the resolution? This will set the public hearing for May 15th. Okay, Pat?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standart?
Yes.
Councilman Ahmad?
Yes.
Councilman Marowitz? Yes. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Resolution number 116 of 2017, a resolution awarding a contract for outside treatments for 3 of the Clifton pools.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. And Mr. Reese, you've been working with the Park District on this matter, and want to treat the ponds in Clifton Knolls.
Correct. In years past, the ponds have been treated, and last time they were treated was back in 2014. The DEC, Department of Environment and Conservation, has upped their regulations, and so therefore, the way to treat these, the amount of treatment, the procedures, the permitting process has gotten more complicated. Therefore, that's one reason why there's less bidders, for the project, because of the size and complexity of the project and how the procedure has to be to treat these. The idea is to treat the rooted algae, which is more stubborn algae that's in those ponds, with the chemicals. And then after this procedure of getting rid of the rooted algae, that we can go and use more of a biological control to keep the filamental algae underneath control that feeds into those ponds. So we're looking to do this as one time and then hopefully keep the maintenance up with the biological control for each other.
So you're trying to tell me that regulations became more complicated and more difficult to adhere to?
Correct.
I find that very hard to believe, especially in New York. I'm kidding, of course. Did you want to say something?
Sure, can I plead my case?
Yep. Sure.
Okay. Bill, you know I've got to plead my case. I'm Marlis McGinnis. I'm the chairperson of the Park District. Just want you to know, we started out in 1962.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming to us,
Right.
okay? In 1967, we wrote our first News and Views. In 1960, they started building houses in the Knolls.
Right.
1985, we got Mill Creek. We're still coming, guys. You guys weren't even born yet. We're still plugging on this subject, okay? 1993, we started Park District.
Yeah.
That's 24 years. Out of the 24 years we've been in existence, half of us have been on this board. Half of that whole time. This is how we've battled the parks. Please, we know we started with $2,000, $4,000, $6,000. This is New York. We've got to get these ponds cleaned up. They stink. People complain, they're not pretty. We want them to look nice.
And it's been a few years since they've been.
A few years.
Yeah.
And we've been trying the whole time.
And you've been budgeting money, you have the money available.
We started out, way back when, we borrowed $150,000 to take the fences down from around the ponds. This was way back in '93. We paid the money back. We've been putting money aside. We built the deck where everybody can fish off the deck down in Valencia. That was a little $6,000 deck. Well, New York State stuck their nose in and became a $30,000 deck. Okay? Now we have a fishing deck that's now $30,000 that we paid for. We now have $200,000 set aside in the bank to pay for this. We've been plotting and saving and
Well,
plotting.
thankfully you won't need that much.
No, you won't. You want a loan? You need a loan? My interest rates are.
Hey, we can always use more money at the town, yeah.
So I plead my case that I'm sure this won't be the end of it, but we gotta get some help on this. And we gotta get DEC to cooperate. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add, Scott, or?
No, I mean, as far as it's, with the true that, there's a committee and where they'd like to keep the ponds clear, I mean, and basically, you don't want to treat it as much with chemicals, you like to keep it more natural, so that's why we like to go with biological controls, around a year and after. But it is sensitive because it drains into a drinking supply area, and that's why the DEC is, concerned, and, so that's why.
Well, it's classified as a reservoir, it's not, hasn't been used as one in
That's correct.
decades, but it is classified, and that's all that counts in this matter as far as DEC is concerned. All right, very good. Any questions?
Yeah, I know, Scott,
Yes.
several years ago, I'm gonna age myself here, we, approved a resolution, I believe for carp,
Yes.
that was supposed to eat the algae, and I guess there's probably a lifespan, on the carp.
Yeah.
Or have we got both? Is this in combination, or is the chemicals gonna cook it?
No, in 2015, we restocked the pond with triploid carp. They do eat the algae that's in the ponds. But the thing is that the size of the ponds, we got over 22 acres of water body there. So what we do is that we get the carp, we do the other treatment, we go through, and do several. So there's several methods that you try to go through, because the carp are not going to eat all the algae that's in the ponds. When they're young, they eat more, the floating algae, the filamental algae, when in the first 3 years. That's why they like to restock the carp every 5 years. As far as the treatment of this, of the treatment for the algae, it's not going to be affecting the fish that are in that pond. But it's a layered treatment that you have to look at, treating these ponds. So it's.
And this type of treatment wouldn't be done every year.
No, I mean, that we're proposing, no,
Yeah.
after this is more of a biological control.
More of a maintenance program
Maintenance
after
to keep the
this.
filamentous algae, down, which, here's the thing is that once, vegetation, it falls into the pond, you get the leaves from the neighbors and stuff like that, that builds up nitrogen in the pond, which feeds these algae blooms that happen within the ponds themselves. So basically it's once you kind of do this chemical treatment, the plant material dies off in the pond, which increases the nitrogen. But when we start doing the biological controls, that feeds upon the actual organic matter, and then there's no additional nitrogen being produced, from that, which, sometimes affects those algae blooms. So, but the thing is that biological control can't defeat, the rooted, algae bloom that's in those ponds.
Well, it's a very in-depth, detailed explanation. Can I find a YouTube video?
I would not be surprised.
All right.
You can find it on
Then I
that.
can learn it, but, any other questions?
I appreciate the depth of Scott's answer on that one. That was very informative. So.
240, it's a huge drainage area too, those ponds. So there's a lot of flow that goes in. A lot of people do.
All these students, they didn't realize they were going to come here and learn about carp. Right? All right, very good. Pat?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Stanton?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Marley? Yes. Supervisor Parker?
Yes.
Resolution number 117 of 2017. Resolution authorizing the purchase of 3 flashing crosswalk systems.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen, and this is something that we'd like to implement here on Bishop Ferry Road and Clifton Park Center Road. And when we get the delivery, if the town board approves the resolution, when we get the delivery, we'll bring one here right before the highway department promptly installs them in their place. But basically, what you'll find when you're driving down Bishop Ferry Road and when you come to the intersection of Clifton Park Center, Clifton Country Road, that's our other proposed area. Again, to try this new system, new to Clifton Park. But it'll be 2 poles on either side of the road, either side of a crosswalk. You can picture that, with a lighted signal on either side of each pole. And the lights will blink when a pedestrian activates the signage, pushes a button, the lights will blink. And what it's meant to do is alert motorists that there's people in the crosswalk wanting to cross. It just brings additional attention to that fact. You know, we've installed many of those fluorescent crosswalk signs. I think they're somewhat effective, but you know, I think more needs to be done, and I'd like to try this application. And clearly, blinking lights will alert motorists much more efficiently and effectively than simply a fluorescent sign on either side of the crosswalk. So again, there'll be 2 poles, signage on both sides of the pole, so that way motorists in either direction will see the blinking lights once they're activated by the pedestrian. So we're going to try this and monitor it, and if it's something that is effective, and we'll certainly include feedback from pedestrians using the crosswalks with the new signage. It's something that we can further implement throughout the town. So I think it's a tremendous first step using this new technology. I know the highway department will get those up right away once they come in. Absolutely. Any questions or comments? Mr. Romano?
These are solar powered?
Yes. Yep. Good point. I left that one out. Thank you. Mr. Whalen?
The only other thing I'd point out, and kudos to Matty for pointing these out, and these, these are the same signs utilized by the town of Walls at the exit 11 roundabout and at Aqueduct Road on the other side of the Rexford Bridge. I think that's certainly a benefit. Obviously, there are other options available to the town, but using devices that are identical in other areas of the capital region, I think is certainly useful for drivers to recognize. Hopefully, you recognize the sign elsewhere. When you see it here, you'll sort of recognize what it is and what it's for.
Yeah, and it's a simple bar across both sides of the sign, and it'll blink consecutively, on and off, and again, just bring more attention to the motorists, or the motorists, that there's pedestrians in the walkway. Looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great addition and increase public safety. Okay, Pat?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes. Roger Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 118 of 2017, a resolution hiring seasonal lifeguards and head lifeguards for the 2017 summer season for Barney Road, Country Knolls, and Locust Lane pools.
So,
Second.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Ms. Waller. We have dozens of guards that we're hiring for the upcoming season. We have new hires, and we had enough open positions for all the lifeguards that worked last year towards the end of the summer season. They're all able to be hired full-time this year, which is good news. As we get closer to the season, there may be more openings that occur. Usually some students find out that they maybe got the internship that they wanted, maybe they were able to get a job that they wanted, and they will inform us they're not coming back. So more openings may occur as time goes on, and usually do.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes. Roger Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 119 of 2017, a resolution to approve engineering studies to determine feasibility of trail projects in Dutch Meadows and on New York State Route 126 to transfer $25,000 from a contingency.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Mr. Whalen. We continue to methodically add to the expanding trail system within the town. Last year, we completed the Crescent Road Trail, which was a joint project with Half Moon. That trail goes from Octay east into the town of Half Moon. We're very close to completing the major trail and with access points down by the river. That also is a joint project with the town of Half Moon, grant funded. So we're looking forward to that project being completed. We've already received a lot of pictures from people using the trail, even though it's not completed yet. But another wonderful addition. Last week, we were awarded $850,000 from New York State to extend the Crescent Road Trail westward along Crescent Road and then northward on Moe Road up to Sugar Bush, which will provide a great connection within that area of town and continues to expand the trail network in that direct area. So we're very, very pleased to receive that grant funding. The timing is terrific. So we're methodically completing these projects that are in the pipeline, but at the same time, always submitting grant applications for new projects. So now that the Moe Road project has been approved for grant funding, we are now looking to other projects that the members of the town board and other town officials have described as being a priority. One is a connection from the Dutch Meadows subdivision along Hubs Road down to Main Street and Longkill Road to expand and continue that the trail network in the northern part of town, and also a connection from North Crest Drive to Talwood here on the north side of Route 146. So again, the funds that are in the resolution to be allocated would complete engineering studies for both of these proposed projects. As far as the timing of the grant applications, there is another round of grant funding that will be coming up this summer, and we will make sure that these engineering studies are done. John, Jen, and staff will be completing the grant applications on parallel paths with these engineering studies being completed. So that way, when grant submissions are due, we'll have two very, very good projects of high quality ready for that grant funding process. So hopefully we'll continue our successful run of attaining very valuable grants and continue to expand our trail system. Anything I left out there, John?
No, I think we got it.
I didn't mention carp or anything, but other than that. Any questions, comments? Mr. Webb?
No, the only comment that I would make, and kudos to John and his staff, I think, we're competing with a number of other municipalities for scarce dollars, and when we apply for these grants, these trail projects, we come prepared. We've done the engineering studies, we have a plan, the town knows what it's going to do, and I think that shows in the results over the years with the town's successful awarding of grant funding, that I think a surefire way not to be successful is to be unprepared. And we know what we're doing before you spend some money now, line up your ducks, and then when the time comes for grant funding, I think that just leads to more success. So kudos to John and his staff for everything they did. And Scott too, of course, being part of that staff. So kudos to you for everything you've done over the years.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we keep the pipeline full in a methodical fashion, as I mentioned before. We had said that once Crescent Road was completed, we would then work to expand Crescent Road Trail and into the Moe Road area, which we are now about to do with the grant funding that we identified was approved. God bless you. And now that funding has been approved, we'll look to these two other high priority projects. Okay.
Councilman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romero?
Yes.
Councilman Malowitz? Yes. Director Barrett?
Yes. Any other business to come before the board this evening? Okay. God bless you. Seeing none. We'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on a town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward, state your name and address for the record, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less. Yes. Come on up, please. Yes, please.
My name is Wendy Wagner, and I'm here to speak about the Meadows project. My husband and I have lived on Wade Road for over 25 years. We purchased a house there that already existed, so we did not have to disturb the existing habitat. We chose Wade Road for several reasons. The primary one was that our 2 acres was surrounded by wetlands. Diverse habitats for plants and animals, but especially for birds. I count birds for Cornell University. I've seen over 100 different species of birds from walking the road by this meadow in question. We also thought we were far enough from the center of Clifton Park that the subdivision sprawl would never get to us. We didn't think it would reach us. It was slowly creeping out 146, and now it's coming up the side roads. We also thought the existence of the federal and state wetlands would discourage any development on Wade Road. It is a very rural road. We all know one another. We all walk the road in all seasons. I watched last fall as the brush hog wiped out most of the vegetation, including all the milkweed containing the eggs for this year's monarch butterflies. It smashed the pond, which was dry in the fall, so the guy running the brush hog didn't realize it was a pond. This is where the spring peepers bury themselves. There were no spring peepers this year. I literally watched, because I'm across the road from this project, as the deer, the coyotes, the fox, the mice, the rabbits, the frogs, the snakes, all fled to our side of the road. They were literally running for their lives. I have resigned myself to the 33 houses that were originally proposed. I can live with that. I came down, I made a copy of the plan. I went to all the neighbors, we've all seen it. We weren't happy about it, but we know that developers buy land and build houses and people want to live in Clifton Park. Our rural road cannot accept 68 houses. The traffic alone is going to overwhelm the road. It is already very busy. I walk 3 times a day on the road. There are about 20 of us who walk every day on the road. Many times I jump a ditch with my dog because people are driving 50, 60 miles an hour. Many residents, including myself, I am representing them. We're resistant to the proposed 66 houses. There are many times when you try to go out Wade Road and onto 146 that you cannot turn right or left. We really choose the time of day to leave. Some of us are retired and we can do that. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when 66 to 120 cars are going to leave in the morning for work. They're going to back up well past our driveway and many other driveways. My thoughts probably don't matter very much because I'm only a resident without $1 million check to hand to the town to prevent this from happening, and it appears to be a done deal. But we're losing one of the very prettiest wetland meadows that still exists in Clifton Park, and we've already lost a lot of these meadows in these woods. I would remind you of the recent vote about the parcel of land near the school, where there was a great deal of passion and enthusiasm to protect a similar piece of property. So I think that reflects how many Clifton Park residents feel about the land that's still left, that we still have, that's wild. So I will continue to participate in the process now that I know more about the process, in the hopes that this doesn't become 66 houses, but 68 houses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and you're right in referencing that vote, and that's why starting way back in 2000, we developed an open space plan, and through the execution of that plan, it permanently preserved 1,300 acres of property and established many new parks and nature preserves. So I think we were, as a town board, out front on that issue. And I think as time goes by, it is something that will become more and more important to many residents. And keeping that in mind, and again, it's not just the open space plan that we started to develop in 2000, it was the Western Clifton Park GEIS. And having mechanisms where we could preserve as much property as possible if you look at what was occurring in the western part of town at the time that we implemented the building moratorium that went for 18 months and the subsequent GEIS study that we completed, if you look at conditions and economic factors and the housing market at that time and what has transpired since that study, yeah, there's still been some development, but that development's been very valuable. It's more, and when I say valuable, I mean higher valued homes on more of a cluster type subdivision layout, as we described tonight, that has less pavement, has more open space, that is not disturbed and transferred to the town and forever protected. So I think the results since that study was completed have been very positive overall for the town and will be far into the future. Certainly never going to stop all development. Impossible to do because every property in town is zoned something. And personal property rights being what they are, obviously if a property is zoned a certain way, whether it be residential or commercial, and somebody wants to invest in developing that property, that is certainly their right. It's also their right to come to the town and ask for additional density. Certainly, we've continued to get apartment projects, for instance, submitted to the town of Clifton Park. Many over the last several years. We haven't approved but one, I guess, in the last several years, which would be Meadowbrook. But turned down many apartment projects. So there's always the quest for additional density that many developers and investors have. I think this town board has done a good job in being a check and balance in that area. In this particular case, as you mentioned, there is based on what they're proposing, there would be $1 million that would come to the town. Now that doesn't go into the general fund. It doesn't. We can't use that to put in a turf field at the Common or buy property, as I jokingly said, in the Exit 9 area, but it is true. It's strictly used to protect property within the Western GEIS area, and obviously White Road is in that area. So we've made some progress with Garnsey Park and other areas, and we'd like to make more. It does take money. And land in Clifton Park is only becoming more valuable. When you look at the cost, consider the cost that is being invested, the amount of funds that are being invested in this project to sprinkle the houses, $1 million to the town, plus all the other infrastructure that
it's not charity.
needs to be
A
installed.
developer doesn't develop without a charity. There's numbers.
Well, they're in business
They're in business to make money. So.
Well, everybody's in business.
Well, ma'am, I never said it was a charity. What I'm saying is, consider, I'm just making a judgment on what I referenced as being very popular property in the town of Clifton Park, very desirable property, that an investment, as I was mentioning, with the sprinklered homes, with the large amount of infrastructure that needs to be installed, $1 million to the town. So when you consider that is a tremendous amount of upfront costs. That shows you how valuable land is in Clifton Park and how desirable it is. So I'm not saying he's doing it for charity. What I'm saying is it's just a statement on the judgment, or on the value of property in Clifton Park and the desirability of the property in Clifton Park. So it wasn't to say he was doing it for charity reasons. So even with those upfront costs, they still believe apparently that this is a good investment. And again, I think that just speaks to the value and desirability of property. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Michelle Bissonette. I also live on Waite Road. I live at the beginning of Waite Road as it comes in off of 146. My house is the third one. So this is actually in my backyard. I've been a homeowner for 33 years, and our home was built just before we bought it. It was already there. A lot of the same points that my neighbor has made is very resonant with the neighbors in that end of the street. It really doesn't as much affect the other end of the street, but I did have a couple of main points that I just wanted to add to Wendy's really quickly, and the rest will go to the planning board. The builder had said, Mr. Belmonte had said about their suppression systems, and that's an awesome, addition to any home, of course. But he did say, it's meant to save lives, not destruction, which immediately equated to me as, thank God you're saving the lives, but the building's still going to burn, so doesn't the fire truck still have to get in there? Isn't that still going to be a problem? And that the outside of the home, you've got that many more people outside cooking out, doing whatever, opportunities, fire pits, things. It is a wooded area right now, obviously, very, very wooded. So there's opportunity for outside fires maybe. So my thought about the fire is a little concerning, because it is in my backyard and having that. Not that a brush fire can't start, but that was the main point that I wanted to bring up. And also that I can't figure out how they are going to get even 60 cars. Maybe not everybody lives at the same time. You've got 60 houses. One car on average is going to be close within the same half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour if they work. These are going to be expensive homes. I'm thinking most of them are younger families or not, but probably one of the household cars is going to be leaving. 60 cars trying to go at less than an eighth of a mile, even if you put a stoplight in, I can't figure out how they're going to get them in and out. They can't force cars to go the other way out Waite Road. So you've got a very short distance for all this traffic. And then if there's multiple cars and then school buses and things like that, because I'm pretty sure the school bus is going to drive in there. They're not going to make all these kids come to the end of the roadway. It's a little bit of a hike. The area that he's talking about being, and it concerned me, he said was protected from view for the residents on Waite Road. Where they're building that cluster, the biggest cluster of homes, is up on a rise. They've cleared out all the trees, so the houses are above the rise. You're going to see them. You can't possibly not, because our houses are here. The new houses are going to be. I've walked that on occasion with family and just gone hiking in there. So that's another concern. And then the walking trail sounds like an awesome idea because we don't have the ability to really walk safely on that street. And another neighborhood said, hey, can we get a sidewalk? That'd be great to spend money on stuff like that. But I thought, well, okay, maybe I can walk on this. But I personally can walk in the road because I live right there and get to that walking trail. But if they're really making it available to other neighbors, the other neighbors are going to drive there, get out of their cars and walk around that, or take their strollers and their children. Where are they going to put those cars? They're not going to let them park in front of houses 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're not going to like that. So I don't think that they set aside like a parking area. I don't see it on there. So that's another concern. There's a lot of things that the presenter made a great presentation, but I had counter concerns with a couple of them that really raised red flags. So I just felt it was necessary that we say something now, and I'll participate in the planning board meeting and write up whatever you're supposed to do officially. I participated in the last time, many, many years ago, before Belmonte bought this property, and expressed concerns when they wanted to really develop this area, and it kind of went away. And it sounds like they aren't able to, and one more point and then I'm done. I know very well another very high-end developer that we said to them, why aren't you buying this property? And they said, well, at the time, Belmonte had gotten in and bought the property. And I called them today and I said, now they want to change the quantity. He says, well, that's because he wanted to put $600,000 plus houses in there with acre per house. Sounded great. I'm thinking, okay, 30 houses, this is going to be nice. I can live with it, we'll figure it out, much like a neighbor did. But they can't sell that many houses right now like that. So now all of the developers are building these $300,000, $400,000 houses because they can get rid of it. He's had this for a long time, he's had this property for a long time, so it's
Yeah.
gotta be draining on his finances to hang on to that and not be able to develop it. The last thing is, it's gonna take 3 years, infrastructure will take a year. It's a lot of, and I will have no water, because I'm not gonna participate in the city line, even though it's gonna come right in front of my house. They will destroy my water. I have a well that's 300 feet deep, it won't exist, because this is gonna all mess with the whole water table over there. Just by seeing when they cleared that property, I saw what it did. So I'm really concerned, so I guess I'll participate in the planning meetings and find out how much time I have, because I gotta move before they break ground, because nobody will buy my house, unless he wants it. And I don't want to just, I love her. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Councilman Allen? Yes. Councilman Stanard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman O? Yes. Councilman Turner?
Yes, thank you.